Hi, my name is Rachael Eben with 8th Mountain Ranch, and you're watching Outside the Round Pen. This is episode 4, which is super exciting. Last week we talked about the whole idea of when you submit yourself and boundaries and creativity being birthed and flourishing within the guidance of the Lord, that it's actually better and healthier and it produces freedom in you. And so this week we're going to be discussing a little bit more about just something that was so special and really precious with the walk and what we're doing with Josie. Neat little breakthrough that, again, it might look in the natural like it was very small, but it's actually a big deal in the whole trust process. So diving right in, when we ended our last session with her, when I was interacting with her, it was just this constant touch and go, where she would let me get close and then be like, that's close enough, and take off again. And so we did that over and over and over again. And then we finally got to a point where it was, she let me connect with her, and she was able to, just a huge breath of relief, and her whole body relaxed. So that was where we left off. And then when I circled back around to it, again, that was where we were. That point, she was just relaxed and able to fully trust me. And she actually was, just in a physical sense, able to be very vulnerable with me, because she let me touch her. I was being soothing, but just touching her all around her body and just trying to gentle her. And she was basically falling asleep by the end of it. But I want to kind of dive into that a little bit, because with horses, I'll just get a little bit nerdy on you. Horses have zones, and so they will often allow, depending on trust level, a person to go from one zone to another, to another, to another. And when a horse is bomb-proof or they fully trust you, that's a term in some of the training world, that a kid could run underneath the belly of a horse and they would be completely unfazed, right? That kind of level of trust, and they're just chill. There's no anxiety about insecurity around just being handled in really crazy ways, because, kids are a little bit unpredictable like that, but they're able to face things because they're secure in the relationship with whoever the leader is around them. And that's what we're working towards, right? But right now, just getting her to a place where she was able to trust me, to go past zone 1, which is the nose. That's most horses, when you interact with them over a fence or you're feeding them, they like to have you in zone 1, because they can see you, they can smell you. They're the least amount of just getting prey and predator type just biology. When you're looking at the anatomy of a horse, the most vulnerable parts are on their neck and their belly, underbelly. So I could go even further into that, and I might later. But when a human, right, we have the eyes on the front of our face, and so we look more like a predator. They have them on the side, and so they have a full range of view, and they're able to see and analyze things constantly, and they're constantly assessing their area. They're smelling things, they're viewing things, they're wanting to make sure that they're safe, because for a horse, safety is a big deal. It's a really big deal. They have a massive play drive. They have a high need for safety, and they need basic needs, food and water. But those 3 things are really the key. If they have all 3 of those, they're very happy and they're content, and they're able to operate within their little world without a whole lot of fear and anxiety. And that kind of sounds like us, or a houseplant. They need food and water, and they need a nice, safe, stable environment, and, maybe occasionally someone to sing to them, but that's about it. Horses are a little bit more, right? They've got a high play drive, but there's a homeostasis, right? When we're in an environment where we're able to thrive. And so that's what we're working towards again. But with her, she doesn't like she gets really antsy when I go past zone 1 and zone 2. So front head is zone 1, neck is zone 2, the shoulder area is zone 3, belly is zone 4, and then the hindquarters and tail is zone 5. And as you go past each of those, they're trusting you more and more with their physical body, which for a prey animal is a big deal. Even though they're huge, that's where the majority, like you could, as a predator, mountain lion, anything like that, they could take an animal like that down by going after those pieces. So when a horse exposes or allows you to touch when they're still learning to trust any of those other zones or operate and move in and through them with fluidity, that's a big deal. And so I haven't gotten to that place, but we left it at such a level of peace, and she was so calm that I was able to take her over to the trough. Up here in Woodland Park, we've gotten a ton of rain, like a lot of rain in this spring. And so it's just starting to dry out, but because of that, we're having a lot of flies. And she is terrified of the spray bottle. I don't even know if she's had fly spray put on her before, but she's actually, it was becoming a little bit concerning for me, and I didn't have it at the time. I have some now, and we've been working with her on that, but just her body was actually having a physical allergic reaction to the amount of flies that were on her. So it was becoming a little bit of a medical concern, and so I wanted her to be comfortable, right? Because I don't want her to panic, and I don't want to force it on her, but if I need to for her safety, I might have to, and I really don't like that. But I took her over to the horse trough, and just to start to get her to see, tested with my hand, I would get it wet, which initially just the sound and me making the sound was unsettling, but getting it wet and then just rubbing it on her to try and soothe, because it was hot and she was just miserable with the flies, and try and just give her a moment of peace to, again, reiterate that whole idea of she's submitting to someone that she can trust. I am not there to hurt her. I am not there to abuse her. I have nothing but good intention in mind for her, even if it's uncomfortable. That sounds like the Lord, right? Pushes us into things that are outside of our comfort zone, but that's so that we can grow, because he sees something inside of us he wants to unlock and develop. And so just taking my hand and rubbing it on her chest and up her neck and on her face a little bit, and she just visually, she literally just, you could watch it. The cares of the world just started to melt off of her, and her whole body just relaxed. She was high on adrenaline and tensed up, and she physically, her muscles relaxed, and she allowed me to go all the way to her tail, just massaging her and rubbing her and trying to bring her some peace and just a little bit of safety from these in a moment without these flies. Which, again, it sounds so little. I'm just getting her wet. Like, what's the big deal? The big deal is she was able to trust me, but I was also able to show her that I care about her microscopic need. I am in this relationship for the long haul. I don't want to just be there to say that I accomplished something. I genuinely care about her well-being, and the Lord is so good about that he encourages us and he wants us to be close to him, right? We're supposed to draw near to him, and we talked about last week the whole idea in 1 Peter chapter 5 that it's you cast your cares on him. Like because he cares for us. It's not something that it's a burden to him. It's a burden to us because we're not able to handle it on our own, but he wants to take that off of us because we're his kids, and he sees us in pain. And I know for any parents out there, it's one of the most visceral things to watch a child go through something that you can't physically remove from them. You don't want them to have to deal with pain. I don't have kids of my own, work with a ton of them. I've heard a ton of crazy stories, and I work with horses, but I know as a child, that was something that was so big for me. Those moments that even when I was so little, in toddler phases or anything like that, I remember when my parents were there and they were caring, and it wasn't about or this pressure to be okay. It was just, I don't feel well, and I need someone to just be there with me in that moment. Now, the Lord is so good, and he takes all of that, and we could go into whole theology on how he paid for everything for us to walk free on the cross. But even beyond that, it's just this little He wants to be with us in the intimate moments, those tiny little places where we're trying to be vulnerable, but we're too scared with the people around us, or we don't even know what's wrong. We just know everything feels off. Those kinds of things. He wants to be there for us. And so when I was able to get her to that place where she was just so relaxed, I even took off the lead rope and she stayed standing, and I just massaging her. It's such a beautiful thing, because she doesn't have to trust me. There is no obligation for her to trust me. I have no expectation that she draws on something that she can't freely give. But just like the Lord, when we do, there's so much relief, and He just wants to be with us and teach us how to rest. And that's something that He's been working very consciously just in my own personal walk with Him, and some of the things that I've gone through in the last years have been really, really challenging to know how to rest. And the Word actually says that we're supposed to strive to stay at rest. And that just is mind-blowing to me, because when you operate from a place of rest, just think about it in a natural sense. When you are able to function, when you have enough sleep and your body feels well and you have clarity in your mind, the world really can't faze you, especially when you have Jesus. But when you're sleep deprived and your mental capacity is gone and your physical body is just shot, everything is it's just beating you down repeatedly. And there's multiple areas where you just don't know how you're going to make it, because life it's overwhelming you. You're being swallowed by it. God doesn't want that for you. And so I just want to encourage you, as you're looking into this next week, not only to look at boundaries like we talked about last week and just allowing yourself to be submitted to Him and casting your cares on Him, but striving to stay at rest. Because when you're able to operate from a place of physical rest, your body reaps the benefits, your relationship reaps the benefits, you're able to hear and clearly think and navigate all the things that are not right, all your circumstances that are outside of your control. But when you fight to stay at a place of rest, you're winning. And that was a huge win for our relationship, my relationship with Josie. And I just want I'm encouraging you to pursue the Lord so you can have a win in your life as well, in the place, an area of rest. I'm going to do the same because I need it as well. But it's a powerful, powerful place to be. So thank you so much for joining us for the 4th episode of Outside the Round Pen, and keep tuned for the 5th. I'm super excited to continue to bring you this bit by bit progress as we're working with her, but also I hope that this is encouraging you in your walk with the Lord. So thank you so much.